If you're someone who sweats a lot during the yoga practice, or someone maybe who's looking for a really pretty yoga mat, then I might have the yoga mat for you. So this is from a brand called Yoga Design Lab, and they make these absolutely beautiful yoga mats. But let's see, is it worth buying? So I got this mat maybe about a month ago, and I decided to try it out. So this is well known for being great for sweaty practices because it's made of an ultra absorbent top layer, and this is meant to absorb all of your sweat. But here's the thing, when I first got it, I was like, okay, I'm going to use it for my morning practice. And of course that night the heating in my house stopped working, so my house was quite cold, very cold actually. So I woke up, rolled out this beautiful yoga mat, went on to practice on it, and my hands were just sliding everywhere. It was impossible to do any practice. So I remember reading that if you have dry hands, perhaps it's a good idea to first wet your hands and then do your practice. So I did that. I wet my hands, did my first downward facing dog. That was fine. I actually took a photo of it because it looked quite amusing. And then after that, my hands dried. And because my house was so cold, there was no way I was going to be sweating during this practice. So I had to stop and just use one of my regular mats. So in the afternoon, I came to my studio where it was nice and warm, and that's where I tried out to do a yoga practice in a more warm environment. And I will say that it was like a different yoga mat. So this yoga mat, it's thick enough to provide very good cushioning, and even if you're sweating even just a little bit, it offers amazing grip. So I'm going to talk about that in my video. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the design. I purchased the combo mat, which means that it has an ultra absorbent top layer, think of a towel, and then a rubber base. And this particular type of yoga mat comes in 7 different designs. Now I chose this geometric one just because it just seemed the first one that kind of caught my attention, so I thought, okay, I'm going to go for that one, and it is a beautiful, beautiful yoga mat. Now the second thing I'm going to talk about is the grip. Now this brand is known for having yoga mats for sweaty practices, and it offers excellent grip the more you sweat. So let's do our little grip test. Okay, so let's do our grip test. First we're going to do it with dry hands, and then I'm going to use some water, and I'm going to wet my hands to mimic sweat. So, dry hands. It's like, no grip with dry hands. All right, let's see wet hands. All right, wet my hands. All right, let's have a look. Wet hands. Oh, wet hands, really, really, really nice grip. And so yeah, if you've got wet hands, then this is, or sorry, sweaty hands, then this is a very good yoga mat. Plus you'll leave an interesting little design on your yoga mat. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, the third thing now is the thickness. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you might know that I like to practice on thicker yoga mats. So let's say 5mm and above. Thicker yoga mats are great because they can offer good cushioning, especially if you have sensitive joints. And so this particular yoga mat comes in 3 different thicknesses. You have the very thin version, which is like the travel mat version, which is 1.5mm thick. You have the average, the medium one, which is 3.5, and then you have the thicker one, which is 5.5, and this is what this one here is. So I have the thicker 5.5mm version. And I will say that, of course, once you have sweaty hands and you have good grip, this is a beautiful mat to practice on, because not only is it like a thicker yoga mat, but also because the base is rubber, it offers really nice cushioning, and so you're really going to enjoy your practice. Okay, moving on to the weight. Now, because I have the thicker yoga mat, of course, that's going to be slightly heavier. So this particular one is 3.2 kilos, which is considered quite a heavy yoga mat. It's almost the same as my Maduka Pro, which is 3.4 kilos. So this means that if you do go for the thicker version, then it might be a bit too heavy to be carrying around to your yoga studio or traveling if you're going to be traveling to any yoga retreats. So just keep this in mind, that it might be a bit too heavy if you want to also travel with this thicker version of the yoga mat. Okay, next we've got the price. So this mat, I got it for 96 euros. I think that for a good quality yoga mat, that's actually a very fair price. And so think of it this way, it's just less than the Manduka Pro, it's a lot less than the Lifeform, and it's more expensive than the Lululemon and the Jade. So it's kind of considered kind of in the middle of premium yoga mats. So I think that that's quite a fair price for a very good quality yoga mat. All right, moving on to the extras. So when you get this lovely yoga mat, you're going to receive one of these straps, which is basically to kind of carry your yoga mat. So you don't need to buy a yoga mat carrier. And you can also use this in your yoga class. And another really cool thing about Yoga Design Lab is because they are so design oriented, they've got yoga mats, they've got yoga blocks, they've got yoga wheels, they've got all these lovely yoga accessories and all in very nice design. So if having pretty things for your yoga practice is your thing, then this brand will not disappoint. All right, so of course there's no perfect yoga mat, so let's talk about the negatives. In my opinion, this yoga mat has two negative things about it. The first one is that if you don't sweat, there is actually almost no grip. So if you're someone who does not sweat much during their practice, or someone who lives in a cold environment, or someone whose heating doesn't work all the time, this isn't the mat for you. You're really not going to enjoy it. However, if you live in a warm environment and you sweat a lot during your practice, I think you're really going to like practicing on this yoga mat. And the second thing is that, okay, so this is more of a hygienic kind of thing. So this yoga mat has a top layer, which is an ultra absorbent layer, which absorbs your sweat. So here's the thing, because this is meant for people who sweat a lot and it absorbs their sweat. If you practice on it and then what you do is you roll it up, store it, and then for your next practice, roll it out again, practice on it, roll it up, store it. What you're doing is you're locking in all of that sweat in your yoga mat, and that's basically going to cause mold, bacteria, and really bad smells being produced in your yoga mat. And so what I would say is that if you do have a yoga mat like this, it's more likely that you'll need to be a bit more careful regarding the hygiene. So ideally what you would do is after every sweaty practice, you would allow it to air dry. And another thing is, according to the website of Yoga Design Lab, they say to hand wash it. And so consider that if you do go for this yoga mat, air dry it after every practice. Wipe it down, maybe with some warm water or maybe your own cleaning solution after every so many practices. And also apparently you can put it in the washing machine. I've not put this in the washing machine. I don't know if I really want to, but anyway, according to the website, you can put it in the washing machine if you feel you want to give your yoga mat just that deeper clean. And last but not least, let's have a look at the star quality. So in my opinion, the star quality is, if you sweat, this is a great mat, offers great cushioning, and you're really going to enjoy your practice. So should you buy it? I'll say again, if you sweat a lot, yes, go for it. If you don't really sweat much, you're really not going to enjoy this yoga mat. So I hope that helped. If you're trying to still figure out what yoga mat to go for, then I think this video will be quite helpful. And so I'll see you in my next video. Bye.